pillars: causes, contracts, and contacts. If you think of the three C's under resourced neighborhoods, perhaps you're an artist, you're a creative who's looking for funding. These would be causes as I think about it. And sometimes to be able to prove or show that uh, a particular funder or a foundation that you're looking, for assistance in some way through a grant or through a loan. It could even be your neighborhood banker, sometimes having the right data to support your argument or your angle or your approach to that particular sphere or that particular cause. You might need a really good case study. You might need a really good research journal. Where do you find this? In databases that are completely free, and they could be at your academic library or your public library. And that's where someone like myself can make those suggestions. And this is an example you see of an image of a journal journal article in any particular field. It could be art, it could be science, it could be sociology. When I think of science, social sciences or hard sciences. So I just wanted to think of ways that you can bring in numbers to support your funding proposals. All right,
Michelle,
next slide.
can I ask a quick
Oh yeah,
question before we go on?
sure,
I definitely want to
sure.
make this interactive because I know that a lot of
Okay.
these women are in the thick of starting a nonprofit or in the middle of a successful business, and they're really looking at
Sure.
leveraging data. So let me ask you a quick
Yes.
question. What would be an
Sure.
example of a woman who, if she's just starting her nonprofit, what type of data should she be looking for? Like if I'm in my first 30 days of a nonprofit,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely.
What should I be asking for or researching?
Sure, great question. Let's say I'll start with the youth at risk as
Mhm,
an example.
mhm.
If you're looking at, I would start to ask demographics. Who is my target audience? And what do I want to know about my target audience? If I was to sit down with someone in my position as a librarian or a business librarian, I would say, what are some of the what can you tell me about the kinds of youth that are, if you're focusing on perhaps your neighborhood or your state? um, Perhaps we'll go with the state of North Carolina. I
Mhm.
would like to know who is keeping statistics, what agency is keeping statistics on youth who may be at risk, whether it's children who may be in foster care, or if it's a specific area of the state that perhaps that includes your metro area. And so we would talk about what areas, or meaning geographical areas, where you
Mhm.
might find youth at risk, or where you might find agencies that are serving youth at risk.
I love
Where
it.
are they
Yeah,
located? In our area, it would probably we would start with the state capital, Raleigh, and then work our way out.
that's
So that's an
perfect.
example.
And just to be clear for everyone on the call, in case you're wondering, I understand what you're saying, Michelle, but how do I do it? So, what it would look like is if you just started a business or a nonprofit in the first 30 days, then you need to schedule an appointment with your local librarian. That means you need to find out who in your area. So, research that. It's a public library. In most cases, you can schedule that appointment with the intention of pulling that specific data. And you can probably tell them before you get there the types of data you want to know so that when you arrive, you guys can cover that data. Is that a fair assessment, Michelle, of how it works?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can start, and that's what I would recommend. I can give you those ideas. You can start with the business librarian. I would also suggest some websites and different keywords to search for, depending on we would how youth at risk would be described. Again, when it comes to demographics and who you're serving, we want to think of all the different ways that they may be referenced in these documents, in these databases. Youth at risk may be one way, but they may also be described in other ways as well. So that's how
Okay,
we would kind of strategize together and then help and then send you off to the people that you need to talk to.
excellent.
Contracts is the next pillar. And when it comes to the R's, right, that we've got RFIs, request for information. If you are a supplier, and everyone in Queen City Women in Business is a supplier, whether we're women-owned business supplier or a minority supplier, however we identify, that is who we are as small business owners. And suppliers are interested in bids if they're intending to work with governments, and that could be federal, local, or state, or if you're a nonprofit, same group. You could be looking for government contracts or regular private sector contracts that you would like to sign on with. And so I can help with looking for examples or samples of RFIs, RFPs, RFQs, and I've written what they stand for there: requests for quotes, requests for proposals. All of those different documents are available online, whether it's through a government database like sam.gov. Some of you may have already heard of sam.gov. Data.gov is another really good resource for numbers and costs related to different projects that you might be interested in, that other agencies, that you may be applying for funding to, have already posted, just to get an idea of who your stakeholder is that you're attempting to get more information from to create your funding proposal. So that's another way that I can help, and a librarian can also assist with you. And the
Hey,
next pillar after contracts. Oh, did you
the-
want to say anything else, Dawn?
yeah, I do. I want to, y'all know me by now. I like to make it real.
Sure.
Like, I know the women are listening, they're taking notes, but I'm going to give you the real strategy. So I hear what Michelle is saying. Let me show you at least 3 ways to take this pillar and make it work for you, right? So, number one is the obvious, like, who is my competition? So you can get that data, you can pull that report. And when you see who your competition is, you're looking to see, are they similarly modeled to you, right? Are they saying the same things as you? Do they have the same team size as you, right? What made them get this contract? Was it pricing? So you're looking to see, number one, who is my competition? But number two strategy right here in this pillar is, who is the decision maker? Who's the person who said yes that I need to go build a relationship with, right? So that, don't
Mhm.
sleep on that. But then number three that we didn't talk about is, how can you reach out to the winning bidder from last time to offer your services as a potential subcontractor or a teaming opportunity? So right away, I see 3 strategies in this one move that we should be absolutely using. So I like to make it real, to say, this is how you actually execute in this pillar if you want to be advanced. And let me just tell you, in 2025, ladies, with this merit based, you got to be exceptional. You got to level up on your strategies. What got us here won't get us to the next level. It's a different game right now. So thank you, Michelle, for like sharing that. And I'm hoping that the women use this pillar in that way. So awesome. All right, off my soapbox. Let's go. All right. It's okay.
we're seeing, collaborating, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then which is a great lead in, once you have some contacts and some ideas from the RFPs that may have been searched by you, or RFQs or RFIs that you found online, and just getting examples and some ideas, then it's finding those stakeholders, those people. And with that, there's again access to directories. How many of you remember the Yellow Pages as kids or as young adults? When you were looking for a local business, there was the phone book that was produced by the local phone company. And before the internet, but you would make a visit, or you would be home and you would have it delivered to your home. And this was where it was oftentimes a very thick book, where it was organized in the very first list or first section of the book, white pages, which often listed everyone's phone number, or if they wanted it listed, who lives in your state or neighborhood. And then the next part of the book is the yellow pages, white and yellow. And then the yellow pages is your businesses that put ads, where they were located. And so a lot of this is online now, but it's disparate. It's all over the place. Where do you find official directories of information that of people that you think you might want to know, or you think that might want to know more about you? That's where the librarian can also help. There's resource sharing, I mentioned here as another pillar. It's not always about competition. Sometimes it's about possibly subcontracting with someone. Maybe perhaps someone that you identified in one of the contracts that we identified in the second pillar is someone that you want to work with or become a subcontractor to. And that's a possibility as well. And also with contacts, sometimes you're looking to credit someone. Perhaps there's a photo that you want to use in your social media. Perhaps you saw something like a citation for one of those journal articles or case studies that you saw. Why is it that somebody knows that 25% of men who smoke are going to so and so, and you're a health and wellness coach? Well, you want to know where did that study, and you want to cite it on your article that you want to do for your newsletter. Let's find that information together. That's all part of contacts. And the
Michelle.
next slide. Yes. Okay.
You know, you guys know I like to make this interactive
Yes,
and make it
absolutely. Yes, you
strategic
don't know. That's right.
because
That's right.
QTWIB is going to be known for its advanced strategies. That means you learn stuff here that they're not talking about. So I just want to noodle on this right here because that's what they came here for, right? It's like, how do I take
Yes.
this and flip this on its head? So the first thing I want to say is when you all see those major commercials, and Sammy is in the branding and marketing space on this call,
That's right.
a lot of commercials and a lot of huge companies, before they come and ascend on Charlotte or Indianapolis or wherever you live, please believe that they pull data. They get with the light. So they're pulling data just like this. And I'm trying to emphasize this because as small businesses, we sometimes will skip steps and want the same results. I'm going to say it slow for the people in the back. But some of your biggest companies, they're not coming to this market blindly, so to speak. They're pulling data like this. They're not going to come to a market where they're offering a new tobacco product if the data doesn't show that people in this city, this demographic, this geographic are buying consumer behaviors, right? So they're looking for things like that. So this is an advantage. And I just wanted to say that. The second thing is I was going to talk about how to use contacts strategically. Contacts, like you said, I love how you said it's crediting people, it's reaching out to people in different companies. It's also one way that we use it, if I could just share this real fast, is we look to see what big donors have already spent money with similarly modeled companies. So let's say that you're a woman in business and your market is teen moms. Okay. Now, if you're a nonprofit, you need to go find out and Google or get with Michelle and find out. I'm looking for donors who already have a historical record, performance record for supporting teen moms. Can you give me a list of big companies who care about this initiative? That's another way to reverse search and find that out. Then you go after them. But a second way that nobody's talking about is you find that company's competitors. I'm going to say it slow. You find that company's competitors who haven't gone after teen moms, and you reach out to them and say, hey, your competition is supporting teen moms in 2025 or 2026. Is that something you want to do too? We'd be willing to initiate this with you as well. Right. So there's all types of strategies that I think we're sleeping on. And that's why I like to be real clear when you give us this information. So, all right, I'm done. Next.
That's okay. No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yes, you can go to the next slide because I have an example here. There is at the library for free, and most public libraries will have access to this. There is the Encyclopedia of Associations. And for those of us that may not have grown up with encyclopedias or print encyclopedias in the home or referencing them at the library, it's what Wikipedia is now. And so it's like an online encyclopedia, basically a one central resource that is seeking to capture, though it has to be up to date, often up to, and that's what crowds do. There are crowds or people that, update the information on the Wikipedia these days. So it's not always in a print form. But there are encyclopedias of associations that are published annually. I don't know if you can see the writing because I know it's fairly tiny, but there's encyclopedias of associations in the entire United States. I mean, for national organizations, there's regional, state, local organizations. There's people that you may not know that exist just maybe down the street. that are doing what you're doing or would be interested in your services. And just by taking a peruse, taking a look and saying, wow, I didn't know there existed something just for, going back to my example again at Youth at Risk, this institution, that actually might not just be a funding, someone that I can seek funding with, but, or for, or from, but actually get together on a project together.
Michelle, we have
So
a
there's also,
question.
oh,
There's
yes,
a
you do. Sure.
Yes,
Okay.
no, someone asked me a direct question. I was just reading it. Sorry to
Oh,
interrupt. I
yes.
just didn't want to.
Oh, no,
I'll
no,
forget it
it's
because
okay.
I'm over
Yeah.
40 now, so I forget things easy. Um,
That's okay.
so I was just going to ask you. So one of the things that she said is, if when you were talking about the encyclopedia, if they
Yes,
don't know where to start, because this can be overwhelming, right? It's both exciting and it's
absolutely.
overwhelming. Is that
Right.
Yeah? So is that something Business Data Friends can help with, like with the strategy? So if, like, let's
Yes.
say Danita's like,
Right.
hey, I live in this area, this is what I'm trying to accomplish. When they come and see you, do you formulate the roadmap forward based on what they're trying to accomplish, the data? Okay. Yeah, cool.
Yes.
Okay, so
And
yes.
yes, and that's exactly and that's why I wanted to take out the anxiety and make it more of a friendly interaction with the librarian, because what often happens is that when you sit down with the librarian, sometimes you just need, like I said, a sherpa, a guide, something that to just get you started with the discussion and to kind of figure out what are some questions that I might be able to ask, because it is extremely overwhelming. As I said, I've been on the other side, and sometimes I don't get to the heart of what someone might get really help like might have the best use of until maybe the end of a reference meeting, or what we call, or if you're sitting down with a reference interview, that's what we call, and an hour has gone by, but sometimes you don't get to it until the very end. And so I said, well, there has to be a different way. And so that's what this opportunity is all about, is scheduling time and just having a conversation, um,
Awesome.
at your pace, at your
Good.
pace.
Does
All
anyone
right.
else have any questions before we move on? I feel I'm seeing like
Yeah.
heads nod of people. Anybody else want to come off mute or just ask a question so far?
In a
Awesome.
moment, I'll go back to some of the earlier questions in a second, but I just wanted
I
to
have a
finish up
question.
and just mention, oh yeah. Oh, someone say they
If,
had
Yeah,
something they
yeah, I
wanted
have
to,
a
Sandra.
question if
yes.
possible. Hey, this has
Sure.
been
Hi.
phenomenal information so far. I just want to say that. Um, and I say this just to address, the new technology that's happening and such. So, in the world of AI today, and we have ChatGPT and those type of systems, how does this compete with the librarians, and what would we gain from what you do versus what now these AIs are providing?
No, that's an excellent question, and I'm very glad to address it. It is an evolving and emerging technology. We appreciate it. And just like Google, we existed before Google and we will be here after Google. AI is a great start. There's two kinds. There's generative AI and predictive AI. A lot of what you're seeing, generative AI, is ChatGPT, Perplexity, Find. They're a great start. But remember, they are basing the answer on what is already on the internet or in the internet. It's resources that are already out there that they're basing the responses on. And so that means that includes all, the brilliance of our human ingenuity, as well as the mistakes of our human ingenuity, is all in there in that answer. So how do you vet the answer? How do you determine that the information that you're looking at is not only valuable but it's correct? That's where a librarian can come into play. And so I use AI in my work. I'm a contractor right now for a small fintech firm, and I it's a great way to identify resources that may be out there, but then I have to verify the information. I go and take a look at where exactly did they get this information that they're pulling together and synthesizing for me. And then once you go to the source, then you have to determine if it really exists. I do want to warn everyone with generative AI, there are what we call hallucinations, where it will sound very good and it will sound like it's real, but it doesn't exist. And we've had librarians, even where I used to work, in a traditional academic library, where we discovered something didn't really exist, and we were going in circles, finding an article or a journal that the AI said this was where it got the information, but it didn't exist.
Wow, good.
So
Awesome. That's great
What?
yeah.
information. Thank you so
So it's
much.
a great start. Great start.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it. I use it too, but thank you for that question.
I was
We
just
can
going to
go to the
say,
next slide, Dawn.
yeah, that was a great question. But to add on to that, Michelle, because we have time, so we're good. I was just going to say
Okay.
the other thing that you all can do, and I would add this in your pitch if you're not saying this already, by the way. The other thing that you all can do that ChatGPT is not going to do, which by the way, it's important to start to have that list with things we can do that you can get from a human that it cannot do, is that you all can actually pull the historical, right, picture of the awards letter. ChatGPT is not, it's going to give you data, it's going to give you references, it's not going to give you, like in some cases, especially as we compete for contracts, I want to see the winning bid. I want to see what it looked
Yeah.
like. It's not going to give you people's emails. It's not going to give you, different
Right.
things like that. So because of privacy laws. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out, but that's a good point for you to mention about how you guys are different. So
That's right.
awesome. Any more questions before we move on?
I guess, Don Nicole, this is Sandra. I
Hey,
guess
Sandra.
also, hey Michelle, how you doing? Thank you for this
Okay.
awesome information. I'm thinking too also the difference because sometimes you have to play around with the right way to ask the questions with ChatGPT to get the right answers. So that would be something that you would be more beneficial on. Am I correct with that?
Yeah, I'm still learning at prompt engineering, AI. There is a science to it, and there's actually within. I belong to several library professional organizations, and they're actually like classes and webinars that librarians are learning to help with prompt engineering. Yes, there is a
And
science to it.
we have one here that the women have no idea about. In your membership right now, under education, there's a whole AI essentials prompting course for you. That's all in your membership. So,
Awesome.
and it's accredited. Okay, we'll go on. All right, I just want to throw that. Okay, is this your next page? Are you good on this page, or do I need to go to the
Yes,
next?
I am. It's just ways that we distinguish ourselves again. We using data to as a competitive advantage to help you with informed decision making, and the library, starting with the library, but it's not just the library. It could be the courthouse, it could be genealogy,
Mhm.
finding the source. Maybe you're looking at some heir's property and trying to just do research about a place that you're looking for information about who owned what in a particular area, and so maybe there's archives research involved, but we're looking at cost effective solutions, looking at what is available that's not behind a paywall.
Mhm.
Oftentimes, as you know, AI can only get limited information if something is behind a paywall or not available, because it's held in copyright. This is where the librarian can assist as well. Right.
Wow, this is good.
Yeah,
Next
yeah.
page.
Sure,
Next
yes,
page.
please.
Okay, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And that's it. And you can find me as I said, I am still in the early concept stages of this business. And so I appreciate everyone with their ideas and their questions. And as I said, we'll go back to some of the questions in the chat. And I thank you for some of the comments. And I see Sammy's applause, and
Yeah,
I appreciate
she
that
is.
for some of the information. You can find me there. I do write a lot about knowledge management. My other favorite thing is writing about adult swimming. That's a whole other passion of mine too. But let's start to think about ways that information, whether it's actual numbers data or qualitative data from interviews and insights, can help your organization. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dawn. And thank you,
Cute.
Dawn, for highlighting some things. I don't know how much time we have, but I actually logged in to my Charlotte Mecklenburg library. This is my card.
Yeah.
And I know some of you may not, I know there's someone here from Atlanta and other places. I do have actually friends in Atlanta and the Atlanta library system. Um, and not anyone in Indiana yet, but I do wanted to mention that I was just going to show an actual resource called Simply Analytics. That is something that you could start with that's for free, available at all public libraries, that can give you lead generation. It gives you a list of addresses and names of people that might be interested in your business within a 10-mile or 50-mile radius.
Perfect. Feel free to share. We have a few more minutes and then
Yeah,
we can open it
we
up
have a
for
few more
questions.
minutes.
Yeah.
All right, let's see if I can log in. I'm going to try to present again.
It'll go great this
See
time.
how it goes. I'm going to share my screen. Let me see if I can, because it might have logged me out because I was logged in earlier this morning.
Okay.
Let me see. See if it's gonna. It logged. All right, it logged me out. All right, that's okay. Let me get back in.
Yep. While you do that, I'll read some questions from the chat
Yes,
just so
please.
we're not
Sure,
being
sure.
looky-loos on the so
Yes,
Angel
please.
Henry, yep, Angel Henry in Indiana, who's such a great resource. Angel says if anyone is out of Indiana, she has a great librarian connection, right, Angel? You got the hook up on that. So please see Angel Henry. Takesha says, I have one at Butler, Angel. I'm going to ask her. Awesome. Yes, ladies, I want us to normalize this. And that's why we brought this to Contract Clinic today, because I don't think most of us just normalize to ask a librarian. Like we think school, like, and we don't think about this as a business strategy, but we should. While you're also doing that, Michelle, one thing I want to mention is even corporations, there are corporate librarians. So corporations actually use librarians. And maybe at the end, you can talk about how they're using their librarians. I think that's fascinating that there's all these different sectors of librarians. So, yes, Jessica Ritchie
Yes,
wants to
there
know.
is. There is.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yep. And Jessica Ritchie is asking, do we have a connection to Raleigh? So Jessica, what I'm going to do is after this call, I'll get with Michelle and I will get all the resources from the points of contact that she has in the different states and area, and we'll send it out at one time. That way we're not kind of piecemealing you guys different, library folks from different regions. So we'll put together a list. Yeah. Sandy says this was great information. I definitely think that Michelle is on to something. Danita says, do you have a contact for Poconos region? Poconos
But
region.
the Poconos, I do not. But what happens is, what I can do is if, and this is how typically. I'm glad you asked. A consultation with me, what it would start off with is basically starting off with your local librarian and your local resources, and then I would build a map of who else would be useful to talk to. I am familiar with the State Library of Pennsylvania and some of the resources that they may have. And again, and what I'm hoping to take away from this is to take away the fright, because there's so much out there, and it's just figuring out step by step. If I'm looking to expand my business and to scale up, where should I start? Or if I'm just getting started, who are some of the folks that I can go to for information? And I would start with your public library down the street, and then branch out from there. And then as I said, I do have contacts through the ALA, American Library Association, and then I would also rely on my own contacts and figure out who can I introduce you to, that might also be able to help you. Because again, with some academic libraries, there are open to the public. If we identify that there is a college or university nearby that you could do research at, oh yes, hi, Takesha. Yes, that would be awesome. Thank you. Nice to talk with you. And then we could see if that's another avenue to help you with. There were going to be, Dawn, if I could mention
Yeah.
3 tiers that I was going to start with this company. One tier would be done by you. All I would do is to determine where you're located, getting a look online of what are the resources that would be useful to you at this stage of the process of your business, and then create that roadmap, or what we librarians call an asset map. Basically, all the different assets in your area that you can start looking up on your own. And just my suggestion on how to track the information, I would, give a little spreadsheet and to just say, this is where I found this information, this is who I talked to, and this is how it might help me. Then there's done with you. Done with you is a little more help, a little more time to give you strategy. And then we would actually schedule subsequent meetings. Once you wanted to go out and do some of the research on your own, what did you find out? Because sometimes you can't find what you think you're looking for, or it's not in the way that it's organized or packaged, and then we could just figure out some other ways to get the information that you might need, or shelve it and find out another way to help. Then the last thing that I'm still developing is done for you. I go to the courthouse, I go to the library, I talk to the state library for you, and so that's another service that we're waiting or thinking about offering. But those are the three tiers that we're looking at developing.
That's great. Were you able to log in there, Michelle? Were you able to get in okay?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, perfect. And then we have a few questions here. So once you do that and show us what you want, then we'll go to questions.
Yep, I am logged. Yes, I'm logged in, and let's see. I wanted to go back to this page and let me share my screen again. And I'm able to share, right? This screen here?
Yes,
Okay.
you sure are. Yep.
All right.
And Michelle's contact information is in the chat, ladies. We'll also email it out today.
All right. Can you see my screen?
It's coming
Yes.
up now. Yeah.
No. Yes, it is?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
All right. Awesome. Okay. And right now, as I said, I'm going to focus on Charlotte for now, but this is our business services page. And one of the resources, hold on. And you have GovInfo, you have the Census Bureau, Bureau of Labor Statistics. They're just mentioning, and this page, this is a page that I think is common to most public libraries. I just wanted to, if you just were to go typing in, I just wanted to show this page as a start if you were to go to your public library today. All right, I want to go back to, this is where I'm logged in. I'm logged in right now, and this is my page through the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Library. I know. I'm going to go to resources. And I want to go to Data Axle. Reference Solutions. I think this used to be called Reference USA, for those of us that might remember that resource. Okay. I'm going to access this now. So this is something we could either do together, or I would send you on a mission. Oh, here we go. Okay. To look for data. All right. You are in the right place. Thank you for telling me I'm in the right place. Okay. So you have data. Oh, where did it go? All right. All right. Thank you. This is telling me what I had just shared with you, that it's now called Data Axle, used to be called Reference USA. So US businesses, I can search 105 million businesses in this database. You are probably listed in here. If I want to look up US consumer lifestyles, what are the youth at risk doing? What are some of the activities that they're interested in? If I was looking at the, considering the nonprofit, right? I can also look at 11 million records for new homeowners in my area if I'm looking for folks to introduce myself to. And if I wanted to use a traditional means of sending something via postal mail to welcome them to the neighborhood, I could do that by looking up this database as well. Let's start a search. I want to go to US consumers lifestyles, right? Okay. You can either, let's go to advanced search here.
So Michelle, can I make a recommendation real fast? Because I know we're
Absolutely.
less
Yes.
than 10 minutes.
We're
I
running out
would-
of time. Sure, sure.
Yeah, I would love to have you do a part 2 where
Oh, sure.
people log in and do it with you, because watching it is great, but I would love for the women who want to be able to do it with you, like sign up for an account. So
Yeah,
we,
sure.
if it's okay with you, we'll have you
That's
teach
okay.
either a private or on the platform a part 2 that is the doing
Sure.
part, so we can do it with you.
Absolutely.
And in the meantime,
Absolutely.
there's so many questions in the chat that I just don't want
Oh,
to leave
oh
without
yes,
the
let's
ladies.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
but this is fat. I think we get it. I think like if you
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
convinced
And
before, all of us are saying, you know what? We've been sleeping on the library piece. We need to add this to our strategy.
yeah.
So Michelle, I'm going to open it up because there are so many questions. One
Okay.
question was for me, and
Sure.
I'll answer that last. Takesha, I'll
Okay.
answer your question around what I meant with the AI and what humans can do versus
Sure,
not
sure.
AI. But in the meantime,
Okay.
does anyone else have more questions for Michelle G before we go? Dr. Michelle? Mhm.
I do. First of all, I want to
Yes.
say, Michelle G, that this was really great. I love the idea that library science is not a dying science, you know, and there people go on to even get doctorate degrees in it because it's so valuable. But I don't know if you know this answer, but I'm going to just throw it out to you. So I had someone in my firm for some of our charities. She could go and get and buy zip codes in certain
Yes.
areas because a lot of the seniors don't like the emails and all of that. I mean, my aunt still gets donation letters through the mail and they like that. And so we were
Yes.
buying the zip codes for mailing, and then she left the firm and I don't know how to do it. Do you offer that type of service? Is that still available? Do you know anything about that?
Yes, that was Data Axle.
Okay.
So yes, that was it for you. Then that was the resource that I recommend. You can go in and actually create a heat map. Basically, it's showing you where businesses are that are similar to yours, so that when you see the heat map, you're just like, I don't want to go to those businesses where there's a lot of them. I want to go where there aren't any of my business, and then figure that out. But to answer your question, the zip codes, yes. If you were looking specifically for seniors in a particular area that might be interested in your services, you would go to that lifestyle. You would narrow down age, the zip code, and any other trait or personal trait. Perhaps you're looking for active seniors, seniors who work out, or seniors who are homebound. You would narrow it down, and then and then you would find those names and addresses of folks in Data Axle. Yes,
Well,
for
thank you
free.
so much. I appreciate
For
that.
free.
And Michelle,
Yeah.
you do that as a service, correct? Like if Dr. Michelle
Yes.
didn't have time to do that, okay, I just
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
okay.
That would be
I
that would
don't
be part
have
of
time
our
to do
strategy
it.
call. Yes.
I know. All right,
Absolutely.
Yes.
more questions
I
for
think
Michelle.
I think there were questions earlier, and that I feel horrible, guys. I'm sorry. There was really good questions. Someone was saying about that they wanted to get started and they were just trying to, like, why they came to this meeting in the beginning. If you could speak up,
Yeah.
I hope you're still here.
Yeah, I know one of them was going to be Dr. Erica Green talked about her nonprofit. I'm not sure if she's still on here now. But you may have covered some of it because we gave some examples around how to use it. One
Yes.
question that did come up is, let's just put the elephant in the room here, is that
Yeah.
we know that our president, Donald Trump, is removing
Yeah.
some of those archives.
Yes.
How are we handling that, ladies? Because we're here talking about the use of historical data. Should that go away? Is there an alternative? Should we be collecting archival information now? Can you talk through how the library system is responding to that?
So librarians, journalists, and a few other institutions, academic institutions, including Harvard and some other universities, are literally getting together, and attorneys right now as we speak. They're literally archiving the web, just harvesting and taking snapshots of what websites are looking like right now before they disappear. So it's an evolving issue. All I can say is that I can let you know what the American Library Association is attempting to do. I just attended a meeting about 2, 3 weeks ago, just around the time that Dawn hosted a really good town hall. If you haven't seen it, is to go back to YouTube and look at it, about, what to do after the executive orders and after the inauguration and all the activities in the last month. It's just been over a month, surprisingly, only. But yes, it is an issue. Some of the federal websites that we're really concerned about is, has statistics, because the government collects all sorts of statistics on anything that you can think of, that is very useful for when you're creating and sitting down, creating a grant proposal or a funding proposal for your local bank. It's just good sometimes to show folks that you're informed. And so that's sort of the approach that we're hoping to take. But yeah, there are some websites that we're going to lose, folks, and we're working on getting that information as much as possible.
Awesome. And we're going to send out an email. So I know there was so much good information. Michelle, we'll send out an email, and what our team will do
Yes.
is highlight some key points, right? Just in case, to make sure
Absolutely.
nothing gets lost.
Yes.
And then if you all want to work with Business Data Friends and Michelle, who is the best of the best, her contact information will be attached. Before we go, I want to answer one final question from Takesha, I think. Takesha, you had asked me to clarify about the AI. Was that you that asked me? Okay. So real fast, Sajda asked a good question. Sajda said, well, wait a minute now. We now have AI, right, where we didn't have that before. What's the delta, the difference between what we can get from AI versus what we could get from a human, our librarians strategically? And that was a great question. And I like how you answered it, Michelle, because you said, while AI is a starting point, so it's enough to get you started, I would still book as a second piece that session with the librarian, because what AI cannot do for you is it's not going to show you actual images of specific award information, because that's what it's not going to do. So while it's going to generate content and give you qualitative content data, it's not going to give you the visual sampling of the winning bid, which is what you would want to see. So if you're competing for that contract, by the way, you all, when you're filling out a proposal, and I know I'm getting off, always ask them, what did the winning proposal look like? Can you send me a copy of the winning bid so you can see how it was structured? How did they lay out that bid? How did they price it so you could duplicate that same success? That's what you're going to get from a librarian. So that's what a human could give you that our friends chat cannot. And that's just one of many things. Okay, but we could go on and on. This is so good. I suggest, who wants a part 2, ladies, where we all log into a system and we do it with, because this is an action-oriented community. We don't want to watch it. We want to do it with you. So would y'all like that? Okay, let's coordinate something, Michelle, where we bring you back for a fun interactive workshop. All the ladies are saying, yes, we want that. We want to do it.